Alright, so today I'm back with yet another chapter review, and today we will go over chapter 291, and let me just say that it's honestly pretty wild, as Bastard Munchen are going on the counter, and both Yukimiya and Hiyori are actually going completely insane as they are the ones leading the counter, but I don't want to say anymore, so you will just have to sit back and watch to find out what happens. Anyway, please leave a like and comment as well as join the Discord server. With that out of the way, let's get into it. So for chapter 291, also called Faster, we start off with seeing the spectators looking extremely hyped over Kaiser's incredible save in the last chapter. Even the commentators compliment Kaiser's defense as they say that he defended the goal with an acrobatic clear. However, right after that, both he and Rin fell down to the ground, but they looked like wild beasts as they got up in an instant. Isagi, who's behind them, thinks that just with him reading the situation, he ended up completely losing to Rin. Kaiser screams that he will get the next one, and Rin just calls him a shitty rose. Isagi has his meta vision out as he looks back and thinks that Kaiser was able to awaken abilities that he didn't know of. After that, we get to Kaiser, who's behind him, who says that the shitty past that he hated, surprisingly, gains meaning and acceptance, saying that this is the first time he's ever felt this feeling. After that, we see that the soaring ball falls towards Yukimiya, who jumps up to trap it while having Charles behind him. As he has the ball, he looks at Kaiser and says that new aspects keep showing up in Kaiser's play, and that he's just like how Yukimiya was back then, saying that when playing with Isagi, one's current self just won't do, explaining that if you don't change, then you won't be needed. And then we see him go absolutely mental on the pitch as he dribbles past multiple PXG defenders. He thinks back to some of his memories and says that you then have to confront your past self and want to find your ego again, thinking back to his goal and saying that people standing on the same field as Isagi, that's their privilege and cruelty. After that, his eyes start to light up with some sort of flame as he's just getting more and more pumped. Yukimiya gets towards Tokimitsu, who first looks ready to take Yukimiya on, but it all ends with him being completely embarrassed by Yukimiya, who makes a roulette dribble behind him as he says that those who can't become new will end up disappearing into the void. Right after Tokimitsu, he faces some new troubles right off the bat as he sees both Zantetsu and Nanase standing right in front of him. Both of them go to press Yukimiya, but somehow Yukimiya still manages to keep steady control over the ball. After that, he starts to smile as he says that here comes the sinking ship and says that he won't disappear. And as Nanase and Zantetsu start pressing harder and harder, Yukimiya manages to get off a pass towards Hiyori, who traps it flawlessly. Hiyori, just like Yukimiya, looks absolutely insane and absorbed in this game as his eyes are burning with an intense fire. Hiyori thinks that Yukimiya is right and that they are egoists who died once and got brought back to life by Isagi. Then he also starts to go absolutely mental on the pitch as he's like the wind as he's getting past the PXG defenders while saying that Isagi doesn't want their gratitude. He thinks back to some earlier moments and says that if you have faith in yourself, renew yourself, and get your life back, then that will be totally okay. Which is what Hiyori did as he renewed himself together with Isagi in the Ubers game. And then, because of that, found his spark. After that, as he's running down the field, he starts to get some sort of weird aura around himself. It's like Isagi's puzzle pieces aura. However, instead of puzzle pieces, it looks like glass shards, which I don't know why it's glass shards, but it looks super dope, so who cares? Anyway, alongside his glass shards, he says that he's here because that's what Isagi taught him, saying that Isagi is the center of this team. But even then, nobody here is fighting for his sake. He looks ahead of himself and sees Isagi before him, and says that everyone feels like they're the protagonists themselves, and that they are exposing their own egos. Hiyori says that this is Isagi's magic, and that the source of this team's strength. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? However, we then leave the Glaze Master Hiyori, and move on to Isagi, who's a bit ahead of him. He thinks that he can't read the awakening of a genius. He looks frustrated with his meta vision eyes out, as he says that just now Kaiser used his own specs to the fullest against Rin and adapted faster than anyone. And with that in mind, he's figured out what the most important thing for talented learners is, and that the awareness of being faster than anyone. We then see a huge shiny puzzle piece with the word fastest written on it. Isagi knows that they don't have stunning sensibility like the geniuses, but they can understand what's needed for the world by their brains. He then takes a big step on a couple of puzzle pieces and says that if that's the case, then find it. The path to victory is connected to luck and the awakenings and mistakes occurring on the field. Isagi then once again goes into his unbelievable god mode and has pieces flowing around him while explaining that if designed faster than anyone else, This one attack will become originality that pierces the world, and I don't know why, but that just goes so insanely hard. After that, we get to the Master Glazer again, who's still completely locked in as he says that here comes the super sadistic pass. He says both Isagi's and Kaiser's names and says that it doesn't matter which one of them it is, but that he will send the best pass that he can dream of, telling them to come and get it if they want it. But just as Hiyori is getting into passing position, someone comes before him and calls it a fire. It's none other than Hiyori's old buddy Karasu, who has a big smirk on himself while telling Hiyori to go while calling him a dumbass. Hiyori is just in pure shock that Karasu was able to come here and calls him a nuisance. Karasu looks completely insane as he has a big crow behind him, as he says that getting to fight Hiyori in a place like this is getting him excited, as he asks Hiyori if he's ordinary or not. Hiyori thinks back to when he first met Karasu, but gets interrupted as Karasu tells him to show him what he's got. Hiyori looks frozen, but knows that if he can't beat him, then the neo-egoist won't be born, and with that, both of them rush towards each other to try and win. Karasu has his crow feathers behind him, while Hiyori's side is filled with glass shards. Anyway, as they are going at it, we see both Kaiser and Isagi running side by side with each other to try and get into the best position possible. But behind them, we have Ness, who can't really form any words, but we see that he looks completely furious and almost creepy as he's watching them from behind. The end text also says, at the climax of the deadly battle, Ness is left behind alone, just bottling up the emotions that can't be described by words. Also, the next chapter is called Bad Luck, which I'm scared to even speculate on what it could mean. I said this in my leaks video, but if Ness somehow gets the ball and scores the final goal, then I'm honestly ready to just drop this series, because that would leave me so mad. Now I doubt that it will happen, but with the next title being called Bad Luck, it's kinda scary. We might get a Ness flashback possibly in the next chapter, as the last panel is kinda leaning towards it, or Ness is gonna make a dumb play and end up losing the ball, which is why the title is called Bad Luck. But it's hard to speculate as there's so many ways that this could go in. But one thing is certain if you ask me, and that's that Ness will definitely play a major role in this counterattack. But just what he does, I can't say for sure. But please tell me what you think the title Bad Luck could mean. Anyway, now let's go over this insanity of a chapter. Firstly, I have no idea what Yukimiya took before getting subbed in, but he's been going absolutely wild. Firstly, he just casually gets the ball in pure style. After that, he destroys the PXG defenders like they are nothing. Right after that, he was faced against Tokimitsu, who, let's be real, it's not a feat winning over this man anymore as he's absolutely trash. Like, I'm not even sure why the author keeps on showing Tokimitsu anymore as he always gets completely destroyed. Anyway, right after Tokimitsu, both Nanase and Zantetsu came towards him and pressed him like a sandwich. Like, just look at Yukimiya here. Like, bro is battling for his life. But even when Nanase and Zantetsu pressed him harder and harder, this madman Yukimiya still managed to get off a pass towards Hiyori. I recently did a video where I predicted the top 23 players after the Neo-Egoist League, but if you have seen it, then I'm sorry for underselling Yukimiya so much, as I definitely think that he will get a bit higher now because he's like a one-man army facing off against the entire PXG squad. Now quickly, let's just talk about this man Tokimitsu, like, what's happening? He was once a top 3 player alongside Rin and Ryu, and both of them have gone and evolved pretty well, and it's only Tokimitsu who's been left in the Shadow Realm, as it doesn't seem like he can do anything, even though he's supposed to be a beast with unlimited stamina. So for all the Tokimitsu fans watching this video, I feel like it's soon time to say goodbye to him. Anyway, moving on to Hiyori, who I think got inspired by Yukimiya a bit, as he also went completely insane, as he embarrassed some of the PXG players and then went into his furious battle against Karasu, which we don't know the outcome of yet. However, personally I don't see Hiyori losing against Karasu this time. However, I have to say that both Hiyori and Yukimiya were glazing Isagi insanely much in this chapter, which is why I called Hiyori Glaze Master towards the end. And then just this panel is just mind-blowing. I know that we have had a similar panel to this only a few chapters ago, but it still looks absolutely fantastic. And I love the details with the puzzle pieces flowing around, and while on the topic of insane looking panel, I feel like we have to talk about this Karasu panel, as bro got a whole crow behind him. The author is always so creative when it comes to drawing Karasu's aura, as there's always a crow around somewhere, and I feel like this is what separates Blue Lock from every other sports manga, as you get so excited just watching this panel, and you get so pumped by it. Anyway, to end it off, I want to talk about the final goal. And I think that the thing about being the fastest to adapt will become the major point in who gets the final goal. However, as Kaiser adapted the fastest towards Rin's attack, I feel like Isagi will adapt the fastest in this counterattack and in turn score the final goal of this game. But please tell me what you think. Anyway, If you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.